Hello and welcome back to An Old Man Watches, and today I'm going to be talking about the Muppets 1996 version of Robert Louis Stevenson's Treasure Island. And for the two people in the English-speaking world who don't know this story, it kicks off with a young orphan named Jim Hawkins discovering a treasure map. Jim's run of luck continues when he has the great good fortune to find men, or more accurately in this case, Muppets, of wealth who are not only willing to trust in the authenticity of the treasure map, but also to launch a voyage to seek the treasure, and they're honourable and ethical enough to not just take it off him and keep all the loot for themselves. That stretch of the old suspension of disbelief is courtesy of the original novel, and the movie heavily lampshaves the improbability. Of course, this is also a movie in which a frog captains a sailing ship, so improbability is not really a concern. In any case, during the journey to the titular island, Jim becomes friends with the ship's cook, a one-legged sailor known as Long John Silver. And I honestly imagine I'm wasting my time with this information, but just in case, Silver is not the trustworthy companion that Jim believes him to be. And in fact, he knows a lot more about the treasure than he is letting on. Shenanigans and skullduggery will inevitably ensue. So, there have been a lot of film and TV adaptations of Treasure Island, with the first, in fact, occurring as far back as 1918. Many of these adaptations have been animated or expressly targeted at kids and families, such as this film and the well-known 1950 Disney live-action movie. There are exceptions to this, of course. For instance, in 1968, there was a typically violent spaghetti western adaptation entitled Between Gods, the Devil and a Winchester. And a few years ago, we had the decidedly not family-friendly TV show Black Sails, which was conceived as a prequel to Robert Louis Stevenson's novel. The number of adaptations, and in particular the number that are likely to play on kid-friendly TV channels and streaming platforms, go a long way to explain why the broad beats of this story are so well known. Many people have viewed some form of this tale, even if they've never so much as seen the original novel, let alone read it. But, of course, the far more relevant question for today's video is the Muppet version any good? And the short answer to that is yes. Unless you're the kind of stick in the mud who refuses to watch a Muppet movie on principle, you should probably check this out. But in case you need more context to that answer, let's dig into some of the film's main features. So number one, the film necessarily makes a lot of changes to the details of the story. Pretty much has to. It's got Muppets in it. If nothing else, they obviously need to get Miss Piggy into the major on-screen role, and given that the original novel has no significant female characters, that essentially requires the invention of a whole new subplot. This film is also rather heavier on the slapstick and jokes than Robert Louis Stevenson's probably intended. Again, as you might expect. The original 1970s Muppet Show was known for its high-energy mixture of slapstick physical comedy, burlesque innuendo, and surrealist and absurdist humour. And I think it's fair to say that the makers of this film really gave Treasure Island the full Muppet treatment. The film is packed with comedic songs, pop culture references, breakage of the fourth wall, and high farce. It is by no means a subtle film, but the gags fly so fast and furious that you're unlikely to have much time to care, and even if not every joke lands successfully, there's always another one coming so soon after it that the film is likely to hit your funny bone sooner or later. Next, the cast of the film. Not surprisingly, it's almost entirely Muppets, playing roles from the books, but there are some human characters. There's a little bit of stunt casting with Billy Connolly and Jennifer Saunders early in the film playing small roles, but they're brief appearances. And there are really only two on-screen human roles of any size, the young Jim Hawkins and wicked old Long John Silver himself. This latter part is played with scene-chewing excess by Tim Curry, who looks to be having a great time and is hugely fun to watch. Curry's always good value for theatrical, over-the-top personas, and there are few more theatrical personas than that of a one-legged pirate. Curry is in full force here, displaying his ability to almost instantaneously change his demeanour and playing up Silver's mostly but not entirely insincere friendship for young Jim lad. He also has a fine singing voice, which is relevant since this is, a movie that has a number of songs in it. Now, Curry himself only sings in one number, the musically comical A Professional Pirate, but the film features 6 major musical interludes, 7 if you count the sea shanty performed over the opening credits. And comedic musical numbers have, of course, always been a part of the Muppet experience. The Muppets do, after all, literally have a rock band, Dr. Teeth and the Electric Mayhem, as part of their lineup. So it's not really a surprise to see that kind of thing here. These musical numbers are used a bit more in the classical musical style in this film than on the TV show, though, with characters essentially delivering exposition or advancing the plot in song. And I mention this because there are people who have an issue with musical film and theatre, and if you're one of those people, well, you have my condolences. You're missing out on some fun movies and shows, and I'll include this film on that list. At the end of the analysis, I think Muppet Treasure Island is a fun destination, and it's worth taking a trip to see it. Next time, Death Warmed Up, with which its 1984 release date may actually be able to claim the distinction of being New Zealand's first splatter horror movie. But that's next time. Until then, thanks for watching this video, and I hope you enjoyed it.